I'm guessing when I ask you the question, who's the best player in the history of the game, I think I know the answer, but go ahead. I don't want to speak for you. Who's the best player in the history of the NBA?
Well, you basically laid out my predisposition, right? But the fact that, yes, I did see him. I was around him. I saw him at his best. So my answer is Michael Jordan. And it was reluctant for a while because I was raised on Magic Johnson. And I believe Magic was the best, but Michael surpassed him. And I believe LeBron has surpassed Magic now.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, for me, like, my troll answer, because you talk about you were raised on Magic Johnson, so Magic was before you were a kid watching Magic. I had the reverse effect. I was a grown-up being told about the kid coming up, LeBron James, because I'm from Akron, Ohio. As I said yesterday, I grew up 5 minutes from where LeBron grew up in Spring Hill. And so I kept hearing about this guy, LeBron James. I said, no, he can't be that good. And yeah, not only is he as good as I was told, he exceeded expectations from the start. So my troll answer is LeBron James. But my real answer is Michael Jordan. I got Jordan 1. I got LeBron 2. 1, 2. And some days I have Jordan 1, I have Bill Russell 2, just because. Just because. I mean, all the winning. I don't care what era it happened in, all the winning, all the dominance. But I bring all that up to get here, where I think there was a real conversation happening, a real response, and I believe there was a troll kind of prompt. I think that dynamic was happening last night on Inside the NBA. Check it out.
I'm wondering, not saying, I'm just wondering, because he's been consistently the best shooter his whole career. I'm wondering, is it time to start putting him as the best player of all time?
Best player? Over, you put him over you?
In the conversation.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
You put him over you. You yourself put Steph Curry over you.
Yeah, this is why he's my favorite player.
I'm not saying favorite. He might be my favorite too, but I'm just asking you, think he's better than you?
I played 20 years, watched 20 years before that. I've never seen a guy like him. And he's doing it consistently, and he has championships.
You put him over Michael?
No, I'm not putting him anywhere. I'm saying, for all the chitter-chatter, is it time to just put him in the conversation?
I think we're not taking it away from his greatness to say he's...
Is it time to put him in the conversation? I'm just asking a question, yes or no?
If you're having the conversation, his name would come up.
No.
If I'm having the conversation, yeah.
As the best player ever? No.
Yeah.
Not as the best player ever.
He can do it all except...
No, he's the best position. He might be best in his position.
Hey, man, he can do it all.
No.
Listen, his title is solidified. He's the best shooter ever by far. But I'm saying because of what he's done and how long he's done it, do we put him in that conversation?
Hey, man. Hey, look, Jay, I don't know how you feel about it. Anytime I hear somebody say, I'm just asking the question, or we just started a conversation, I immediately call BS. No, you're not. No, you're not.
But also you have to consider the source. And I think Shaq, at this point, he's searching for optimal social media engagement. If you look at his Instagram feed, he'll put together various lineups, and he'll say, okay, which one are you taking? And I give Shaq credit for being early, if not the first, on the social media game. I first signed up for Twitter because Shaq was on there posting where he was and what he was up to. And so I said, okay, let me get on Twitter so I can see what Shaq is up to. So he was hip to the game very early on, and I think he continues to do so. This is the modern version of what he did.
The big IPO. The big IPO all over it, right?
So he used to say marketing. That was his catchphrase. Now I would say social media algorithms. If you asked him what he was thinking, I'll give you a quick story. He injured his finger one time, playoff game against the Spurs, has to go back to the locker room, and we're all wondering, who is going to come back? What's happening with Shaq? And comes back, the Lakers win the game. Afterward, he tells this story of he was back in the locker room and his father calls in on the phone that's in the trainer's room and says, get your ass back out there. And so he was like, yes, sir. And so he went back out there and led the Lakers to victory. That was the story that he told. So I ran into the Lakers athletic trainer, Gary Vitti. I said, so were you in there when the phone rang? And he said, what are you talking about? And he said, Shaq said his dad called, on the phone in the trainer's room and told him to get out there. Vitti said, there's no phone in the trainer's room. I said, well, Shaq said, his dad said, he said, that's what he told you, huh? So I bumped into Shaq on his way out the arena, and I said, Shaq, man, there's no phone. That story didn't happen. Come on now. And he just starts receding into the darkness in the garage area of the Staples Center, and he just grins and he says, marketing. So he was telling the story for marketing. So I'm sure if I found him in the garage area at the Turner Studios, he'd probably say social media algorithms. That's all that was. I don't take it that seriously.
And so because Kenny was like, come on, man. Come on, and you got to understand, so consider the source marketing for Shaq. Then you also have to ask, who are you asking that question to? Kenny Smith, who played college basketball with Michael Jordan, who went up against he was in the backcourt. It was Kenny Smith and Michael Jordan at North Carolina.
And played with Akeem. And guys like Robert Horry, who played with Akeem Olajuwon, they will constantly elevate Akeem into the conversation. They'll say he needs to be conversed about, not Steph Curry.
Yeah, so look, I think Steph Curry is, I saw Jason Tatum recently had his top
like
7.
that. Shaq's always doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Who should you take?
Yeah. He had, Curry, Tatum had his top 7. And he put Curry in his top 7, and he put LeBron in his top 7, But, he had some of the usual suspects. He did not have, however, talk about bad marketing, he did not have Larry Bird, nor did he have Bill Russell. Come on, Jason Tatum. He had a bunch of Lakers.
Got to understand the market. Part of marketing is understanding your market. You're in Boston. You might want to include those two guys.
That's right. Who are you talking to? Just get one of them. You ain't got to have both. Just got to have one of them. Just a little nod to the past. Anyway, he had those guys. I understand Steph Curry being in if you say the greatest 15 players or greatest 10 players in the history of basketball. I don't know. How would you ever consider him the best player you've ever seen? He's not the best player I've ever seen, which is not a slight at all. That to say he's not the best player I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of great players. I'm watching them now. I've seen them in the past. I saw a post they sent it on. We had a BFA chain, and one of the posts was, "Hey, look at Kenny Smith straight up hating on Inside the NBA." And I watched the clip. I said, "Where's the hate? Where's the hate? He just said Steph Curry is not the best player in basketball history. How's that hating?
Right.
The league's almost 80 years old.
That's why I hate a lot of these conversations.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
If I say I'm putting Michael over LeBron, I'm not hating on LeBron. I'm saying
not hating on LeBron.
Everyone that's ever played basketball, I'm only putting one guy over LeBron. To me, that's high praise. There's Steph Curry. There's the one thing you can say no one else did, obviously, is all the 3-pointers that he made, right? So, he stands alone on that mountaintop of most career 3-pointers. That's something that a lot of people are, basically including Shaq, were ineligible for, right? Like, Shaq would have been out the league quickly if he shot as many 3-pointers at his size as Steph Curry did. So, the fact that his greatest skill wasn't a part of the league for the first, 30 years of its existence, hurts his argument a little bit. And the fact that he doesn't have a killer stat. Like my stat for Michael Jordan in the 90s, he won 25 out of 26 playoff series. To me, that's the go-to stat for Michael Jordan. With LeBron, especially coming as someone who, again, was raised on the Lakers, the fact that LeBron can say he has more points than Kareem and more assists than Magic, one guy can say both of those things, that goes a long way for me. Steph Curry only having one Finals MVP, I think hurts his argument. He can't sit at the table with Shaq, with Magic, with Michael. All those people have those things that he doesn't. And so, there's not that one overall statistic, and mostly something that relates to winning, that Steph Curry can claim that the other guys can't.
Well, he can say...
And it's hard to even call him the best of this era, right?
Well, he can say he was part of a team that won more games. He was part of
Yes.
a team that won 73, but then you turn around and say, well, they didn't win it that year. But he was a part of a dynastic. It's like a handful of guys who were part of dynasties in the league where they kind of ran their era. And most of those guys are in the greatest conversations, are in the top 10 conversations. Like Magic ran his era and Michael ran his era. Now this is interesting. Who ran the era between, and you can say Steph has in his. It's now Steph versus LeBron. It's like the co-running Steph, LeBron in their era. And then also Shaq and Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan never.
I was waiting for that name to come up.
I shouldn't say never, but he doesn't come up often enough.
Not enough.
We're talking about,
if you're talking about an era and if we're talking about the core of a dynasty, well, Tim Duncan's got 5 championships to Steph Curry's 4. So I don't see how you move Curry past Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan never missed the playoffs in his entire career. Tim Duncan won a Finals MVP in 1999. If one shot away, he would have been the Finals MVP. I've had this verified by the guy that tallied the votes. If Ray Allen doesn't make that shot, and if the Spurs win in 2013,
get those ropes
Tim
off
Duncan
the court.
is the Finals MVP.
Get those ropes off the court. I love that line from Ray. Yeah, get it off the court. But yeah, you're right. And I hate to bring it down to Finals MVP because you could say maybe Steph should have won the MVP when they beat LeBron. When they won the first one, Iguodala got that Finals MVP.
LeBron should have won that MVP. He was the best player in those finals.
I was gonna say,
LeBron should have been the MVP of those finals.
Steph wasn't at his best throughout the series, but when it mattered, he made some big shots. Obviously, they win that series and didn't need 7 games to win it. Iguodala won it because of. I'm always a little skeptical of those MVPs. He won it because of how he.
Because LeBron didn't average
50. Right.
He held LeBron to I think LeBron averaged 28, 8, and 8 or something like that. And
good job,
Andre Iguodala.
It's the same thing when Kawhi won his in 2014. I love that team too. The Spurs beat the Lakers. The Spurs beat the Heat.
LeBron, right?
LeBron's numbers in the series were good. So your argument that Kawhi, look what he did against LeBron. Well, he did well, but he didn't shut him down.
I'll allow for this with Curry. His story isn't finished. And last night's performance, for him to play the final quarter and a half and overtime with 5 fouls, I think he had 13 points in the fourth quarter, and then that absolute rainbow of a dagger. It's hard. Can you call a rainbow a dagger? Those are two conflicting things. But that rainbow dagger that ended it basically, put the Celtics to sleep. And so it just felt like it sparked. It felt like we can have a conversation about the Warriors again. That seems like it could be a pivotal moment in their season. If they do indeed go on a little run here, first they have to get back to 500. Funny to have a conversation about a guy whose team is below 500 at the time as one of the greatest ever. But let's say they go on a little run here. Let's say they put something together. Let's say Draymond gets his act together. Let's say the young players who showed a lot last night, right? Trey Jackson-Davis, Kuminga.
Really good game for him.
I think we learned a lot. I think they showed something to Steve Kerr. I think they earned some trust from Steve Kerr, the way they performed last night. So if they can build on that, if Steph leads this, you saw Steph being more vocal, realizing that with Draymond out, he's got to, I think he was exhorting guys. He wasn't getting on guys. He seemed like he was exhorting guys a little bit more than he normally does. So if they can get on a run this year, if he gets to 5 late in his career at a time when the dynasty seems like it's waning, if not over, okay. You start to reevaluate. He's at 5.
Now we're talking, right?
So so let's let the story to play out. And we'll see what we're talking about at the end of it. Right now, there's not enough data, and he still has a chance to add, but there's not enough data that I have to put Steph at the top or even really seriously embed him in the conversation.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.